The night air was heavy with summer heat, the kind that clung to your skin and carried with it the hum of street lamps and the faraway growl of engines on the highway. In that thick silence, a young black girl sat on the curb outside a grocery store, her arms folded around her knees, her eyes searching for comfort in the indifferent dark. She was only 15, but already the world had shown her how sharp its edges could be. Her braids brushed her shoulders as she shifted nervously, each strand a symbol of the careful love her mother had poured into her that very morning. Yet here she was, heart racing, caught in a storm that felt too big for her small frame. The flashing blue lights had arrived quickly, painting the cracked pavement with harsh, staccato shadows. A police cruiser screeched to a halt, and the door slammed shut with authority. Heavy boots hit the ground, steps slow and deliberate, like the world had tilted to remind her of her place. She had told them the truth, told them who her mother was, but the truth had been met with nothing but a cruel laugh. Because to them, she was just another black girl, and the idea that her mother could be anything more than ordinary seemed ridiculous. This was not just a moment on a street corner. It was the collision of two worlds, one built on disbelief, the other on resilience. To understand this night, we must go back to where the story of her mother began. Her name was Aisha Johnson. To neighbors, she was the quiet woman with watchful eyes, the one who moved like the wind, graceful but always alert. To her daughter, she was strength incarnate, the kind of mother who carried invisible scars beneath her calm exterior. Long before the uniform, before the Special Forces insignia stitched to her chest, Aisha was a girl from the South Side, where broken glass littered sidewalks and opportunity seemed reserved for others. She had grown up watching her own mother work 2 jobs, scrubbing floors in the mornings and serving food at night, the lines on her hands deepening with every year. Aisha learned early that survival was not enough. She wanted more. At 16, she could outrun every boy on the block. At 18, she scored high marks on physical endurance tests that few men could complete. She enlisted, not just for herself, but for the daughter she hoped to raise one day in a world that looked at black children differently. The uniform became her shield. The training hardened her resolve. And soon, she became one of the rare women of color in the U.S. Special Forces, a place where skepticism met her at every corner, but where her results silenced critics' one mission at a time. Her daughter, Maya, knew little of the details. To her, her mother was simply extraordinary, the one who braided her hair, taught her to stand tall, and told her to never apologize for her existence. Yet behind every embrace was sacrifice. Deployments stretched across months. Letters replaced conversations, and every return was marked with both relief and the invisible weight of what her mother had seen and endured. That summer evening, Maya had gone to the store for juice and snacks, a simple errand that turned into an ordeal. 2 boys had started, following her, muttering words she pretended not to hear. When she quickened her pace, they jeered louder. She had stepped inside the store, heart pounding, but when she came back out, they were waiting. By the time the police arrived, called by a concerned cashier, Maya was shaken but defiant. She told them her mother was on her way, told them she was safe, told them she was not alone. But the smirk that spread across the officer's face said otherwise. Injustice has a way of compressing time, turning minutes into eternities. As the officer leaned against his car, shaking his head, Maya felt her chest tighten. It was not just disbelief, it was dismissal, a statement without words. Your story does not matter. This was the same disbelief her mother had faced in the barracks, in the briefing rooms, in every space where her presence seemed to challenge the unspoken order of things. And then the sound came. Not the casual footsteps of passers-by, but the firm, purposeful stride of someone who carried authority in their very being. Aisha emerged from the shadows, dressed not in civilian clothes, but in her fatigues, her boots thudding against the pavement with every step. The insignia gleamed under the streetlight, a quiet proclamation of who she was and what she had endured to stand there. In that moment, silence fell. The officer straightened, his smirk vanishing, replaced with a flicker of uncertainty. For all his laughter moments earlier, he now stood face to face with the embodiment of what he had dismissed. The girl on the curb was no longer just a girl. She was the daughter of a warrior, and that warrior had come to claim her. But this story is not about humiliation. It is about revelation. The truth of Black resilience does not lie in shocking others into silence. It lies in the quiet dignity of survival, the unshakable courage to stand where you are not expected to belong. For Aisha, every mission had taught her that enemies rarely looked like the villains of movies. Sometimes they looked like doubt. Sometimes they looked like systemic bias. And sometimes they looked like the disbelief etched on a stranger's face when her daughter spoke truth. But in each case, the response was the same: to endure, to rise, to remind the world that dignity cannot be stripped away by laughter or disbelief. The night ended not with confrontation, but with clarity. A mother's arm wrapped around her daughter's shoulders, guiding her home. The officer turned back to his cruiser, the weight of his own prejudice hanging heavier than the gear on his belt. And Maya walked taller, not because the world had suddenly changed, but because she knew now, beyond a shadow of doubt, who she came from. This story is one thread in a larger fabric, woven from countless other stories of Black families dismissed, underestimated, and overlooked, yet standing with pride and unshakable strength. It is a reminder that resilience is not built in comfort. It is forged in fire, in nights like this one, under the glare of street lamps and the judgment of strangers. The city moved on. The hum of traffic resumed. But for Maya, everything had shifted. She would carry that night with her the disbelief, the laughter, the silence when her mother arrived not as a wound, but as a weapon. A reminder that her existence held weight, that her voice held truth, and that she was born of courage that laughed last. As the credits of this story fade, the question lingers. How many more Mayas wait in silence? How many more Aishas walk unrecognized, their stories untold? The answer lies in what we choose to see, in whether we accept laughter at someone's truth, or whether we lean in, listen, and believe. Because dignity is not a gift to be granted, it is a birthright. And when we honor it, we do more than change. One night on one street corner, we changed the very fabric of justice itself. If this story resonated with you, if it stirred something within your heart, we invite you to stand with us. Subscribe to the channel, share these stories, and help keep alive the voices that remind us of resilience, courage, and the dignity that no one can take away. Together, we honor them not just with words, but with action.